I'm really looking at color and using the softer colors and the brighter colors together and playing them against each other. And also looking at it in terms of what doesn't work and what does work can all work together. In other words, giving myself a chance to do things that are not normally done color-wise. I'm pushing myself to go in a different direction with the color. It doesn't necessarily look like it sometimes, but I know what I'm doing. When I'm doing it, it's different. This is the important thing of it being different, is that it's the interaction of the color that I will show you in a couple of the new pieces. But this one is one I just finished yesterday, and we'll also talk about the drawing of the new drawing there that is talking about some of the differences in the drawing. We're really looking at color and space. And what is the space of color? What is the space of color means how does it go back and how does it go forward? That's the job of anybody painting. But to have them going back and forth in different ways is a way for me to make a new piece. And I think this represents a new piece. We'll look at the effect that it has on me, as it just feels different. Feeling different is what's important for me, and I want the viewer to feel that there's a difference happening in this one. Okay, the complexity of this one was part of the challenge, but it was also the beginning of this, what I call in and out color. The colors that go in and out of the picture plane. The picture plane being the negative space and the positive space working together. The picture plane is very important in that this one offers a way for some things to come forward and some things to go back, but not in necessarily that order. There's no particular order to this piece. We can make it be something it's not. That's easy to do. We can make something that it is. That's easy to do. But make it something that we have to figure out, that's different. And we're also looking at the shapes that are in here. Some things that are kind of related to other things, but the story is in the middle of the painting where all those little stripes are, and that kind of almost like a wrestling match ring down below that forms that white, off-white, the mat of the wrestling ring. We're looking at it as something that is really trying to break down the system of space and what space does in the painting. We want it to be more challenging than just going from A to B to C. Let's make it go to A to Z, then back to B, and then maybe P. So in this particular piece, it's that kind of this moment disagreeing moment that may start to something else happening for the viewer. And that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work or not work. But I think I finally got it working. So let's take a close-up of this one and see what we're talking about in the center of the painting. And it's the center of the painting that breaks up the space between the two more human forms, the faces and the masks. Allowing things to happen that don't happen in space is part of the challenge here. To enjoy art is to enjoy the surprise. And nobody's more surprised than I am when I'm doing my work. And the important thing is for me to be surprised so the viewer can be surprised. That tells the story of the surprise. As I've talked about many times, the pencil is the backbone of the work. And that's where I start. And that's where the beginning and the middle and the end starts. But making forms that go outside in the box and in the square is challenging enough. But to make it rhythmic inside and it's kind of a matte box shape on the outside. That's what's important in challenging the viewer and making things happen that don't happen normally. One thing does not lead to another in this drawing. The drawing is an adventure, and it's allowing the adventure to happen. As in all free-form drawings, you got to have a lot of spontaneity. But the spontaneity doesn't mean that there's a structure that gets lost. The structure is very important to the spontaneity. So it's the spontaneity and the structure working together. Straight lines against curved lines against flat spaces versus rhythmic shapes happening on one side and not so much on the other. So allow for these things to happen here that don't happen there is really the importance of the drawing. It's letting things happen with my jet black pencil, which is, and I draw it with my hand. I don't use a ruler. The ruler's down there, but I don't use it. Let it flow. Let the whole thing flow. And now we gotta let the colors flow in here too. So let the flow be part of the process, and also the difference between an angle versus a curve. And it's the angle versus the curve that we're always talking about in the drawing. But in this case, it becomes more pronounced. So allow things to happen that shouldn't happen, but do, and that could be the best thing we could hope for in a piece. Let it be what it is in the drawing, but let it be more than that in the end. Thank you.